What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with the mutant Nick Walker and his first official announcement after this year's Pittsburgh. Just 4 words, but they make up for one of the most inspirational bodybuilding stories of the recent past. He was trolled online for saying that he never left and that this wasn't a comeback because he skipped the Olympia for 2 years in a row. And if you look back at the circumstances on why he skipped the Olympia, the first one, that was because of that hamstring tear. And that was very unfortunate because that happened just 2 weeks prior to the Olympia. And that wasn't his fault by any means. And second one, that was, I'm gonna say, totally his coach's fault. The fact is, and I have said this so many times before, you can never question the work ethic of a guy like the mutant. You can be his critic, you can dislike his physique, but you simply cannot deny that the man is one of the hardest working bodybuilders of this era. He's among those most disciplined bodybuilders right now. And from the response that Nick has gotten in the last 24 hours, I think he's one of the most likable IFBB Pro right now in the Pro League. And Nick is going to ride this momentum right into the New York Pro, which is happening next weekend. And I'm 100% sure that he's gonna totally dominate this show. So the man is back to doing cardio the very next morning, making sure he gets rid of all the water from all the food that he ate after the Pittsburgh Pro last night. So the statement has been made loud and clear. And now that you look back and analyze all the claims that Nick Walker made in the past few months, that he's gonna be back in that Olympia top 3 this year, they all seem very realistic now. Because he leveled up so much, and the man was able to beat all his previous looks, even his best ever, which in my opinion was the Arnold 2021 and the Olympia 2022 version. Just take a look at this comparison of him doing the front double biceps at the Olympia back in 2022, the one where he cracked top 3, versus the one from last night. Not only was he able to improve his quads, the man also changed his posing to make his waistline appear way more streamlined. Just take a look at that improved width in that rear lat spread, which by the way was one of his weakest shots. So 1 year ago, if anyone would have told you that Nick is gonna be so impressive that he's gonna be Derek in the abs and thigh shot, most of us probably would have laughed at that statement. But the man simply did the unthinkable yesterday. So cannot wait to see him at this year's New York Pro. So this is now confirmed by his coach Kyle Wilkes that Nick is in for the New York Pro. And a huge shout out to his coach Kyle as well. This was their first show together and the man 100% nailed it with the mutant. So at this point we can be very certain about one thing, that Nick is gonna make this upcoming Miss Olympia a lot more interesting. Labrada also made a big announcement today in Sweden, and most of us kind of saw this coming, especially after his coach bench out. He revealed that Hunter is going to fix his shoulder this year. So he's probably gonna have to go through a surgery, and that is why he's gonna have to take a big part of the year off. And turns out Hunter is out for this entire year.
I'm definitely planning on taking this year off from competing. I haven't had a break since 2016, and I need to recharge myself a little bit physically, need to recharge myself a little bit mentally.
And that means there is an opportunity for some of these guys in the second call out to move up into that top 6, since Hunter has been placing 6th for the last 2 consecutive years. So this was also evident from the fact that Hunter was hardly posting any physique updates ever since the Olympia last year. And the man was totally off everything. And the updates that we did saw from him, he was looking kind of soft compared to some of his previous off-season looks. Now this is also a great opportunity for Hunter to give his body a much needed break, because he has been competing non-stop year after year ever since he turned pro. So there is one show which has been on Hunter's list for so many years now. And if I'm gonna speculate, then Hunter is most probably gonna make his comeback at the Arnold Ohio next year. So Hunter looked extremely impressive at Miss Olympia last year, and he will obviously gonna be missed on this year's Olympia stage, since he's a legitimate top 6 Olympia contender. But the man truly believes that this break will allow him to come back better than ever. So wishing him a speedy recovery. So there wasn't a lot of anticipation around the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing this year because of the Pro show itself. But the reigning Miss Olympia Samson and the reigning 212 Olympia champion Keone Mike, they were on the stage together. And just because we have all been talking about Keone Mike's potential switch to the men's open class, and how he's gonna do against the big boys. Well then, this was the comparison that the fans want to see the most. And even though both these guys are in their off-season, but you get the idea of the size difference between Samson Dauda and Keone. And this is exactly what Keone mentions all the time, that he needs time to grow into the men's open class. Because Keone might be 230 pounds here, and Samson Dauda is easily over 300 pounds. And this isn't even the peak of season for Samson Dauda, and yet the man is still looking so damn massive. But that being said, those proportions on Keone Pearson, they are simply unmatched. Probably one of the best in the pro league right now. So the one thing that really stood out in that comparison, that was Keone's lats. The man just doubles in size when he opens up and he hits that front double biceps. When he opens up those lats, arguably the best V-taper in the entire bodybuilding world right now. Now that being said, if we keep account of everything, then this just isn't a fair comparison. Because Keone right now, he has been pushing very hard for a few months. And the man is well in his off-season right now, while Samson on the other hand, he's still in that detox phase. This is his final week of giving his body the much needed rest and a break from everything. But still, a 300 plus pounds guy pulling such a crazy vacuum at that kind of size, that I must say is as impressive as it gets. So this was a comparison that the bodybuilding fans desperately wanted. Although both these guys, they aren't gonna share the same stage. For at the very least, I'm gonna say 2 more years. Because this is how much Keone wants to take in order to slowly max out for that 212 division and then move on into the men's open. So Ramon Dino and Mike Sommerfeld were the 2 guys that were initially booked to guest post here in Pittsburgh. But this became much more interesting and much more exciting because Terence Ruffin, Matt Grego, and Wesley Wizards, they also stepped on the stage for some fun. But the comparison that truly matters here, that is Mike versus Ramon. And I must say Ramon has never looked this good during the offseason. And keep in mind, while Mike competed and won the Arnold, Ramon on the other hand, he has been in the offseason since last year. And the man looks so mind-blowing here. Now on the first glance, you can see that he has been putting a lot of work for posing and presentation. And this has already started to make a lot of difference. Just look at the size of the quads on Ramon Dino right now. And look at that foot placement. And that is why he's able to create such a good V-taper. His V-taper is looking so much more pronounced. And that is something that was missing from his physique last year. Now we know this is the off-season, but this does put things into perspective. That there was a reason Ramon placed second at the Olympia for 2 years in a row. And he gave a guy like Chris Bumstead a very serious run for his money at the Olympia back in 2023. So Mike, after having a bit of that health scare, he must have gone through a detox phase. Because for his own standard, he looks a bit softer here, which is totally fine and understandable, as this is his off-season right now. So the thickness on this guy still, especially from the side, that is so crazy and so insane. Now before we all saw Terence Ruffin and his final package at this year's Pittsburgh Pro, many of us were talking about Terence Ruffin being the biggest threat to Mike Sommerfeld. But I think Terence is still a bit small in comparison to a guy like Mike. So after this guest posing of Ramon Dino, he's gonna regain a lot of his hype that he kind of lost in the past 1 year. The man truly looks to be on a very serious mission, and those brutal workouts with the champ Derek Lunsford, they have definitely been paying off. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.